Yo, what's up? This is your boy Flo Rida, and right now you're watching Noise 11.
You're tuned to Noise 11. My name is Tim Cashmere, and we're here with Flo Rida, who is in Australia. You're here for the Logies on Sunday and doing some shows and all sorts of things. Welcome back to the country.
Oh, definitely. A pleasure to be here. Always great coming. Definitely. I anticipated this. The fans are hitting me up all on the social sites and everything, so I'm happy to be back.
Now, you strike me as a real hit man. You've sold 40 bazillion singles worldwide, but an actual figure is 40 million, which is, you don't need to be a mathematician to know that's a hell of a lot. Flo Rida to me seems to be all about the hit single. Have you always wanted to be like that ever since you first started your career?
I think it's just a blessing, and it just shows, hard work pays off, and it shows that when I, approach anything, first and foremost music, that, I really love it. So, for the fans to cling on to it and to really enjoy it to the point where they, help me sell so many records, it just shows, hard work. When I'm in the studio, sometimes I'll be in there for 3 days, the same clothes, no sleep. So, I all owe that to, just hard work.
Does that, once you get to that third day, you're sort of sitting there, I imagine it must become hard to concentrate on making music.
Not really, because, prior to having a record deal, I always, knew that anything you're trying to do, there's no pain, no gain. So if you want the best music or the best anything, you have to go overboard. It's not just, it's going beyond normal. You have to go in overdrive.
There's a couple of webisodes. I find that a really weird word, but we'll use it anyway, of you up online talking about your childhood and growing up in the projects, and your sisters were in a gospel group and there was always music around. At what point was it that you decided that you wanted to actually to make a record?
I think when I was about when I was about 9 years old, I played around with it, but when I turned like 15, I really took it serious. That was like my first year in high school, and the guys around the way, a couple guys, they was around recording in studios and things like that, and I was just a tag along. But then I seen an opportunity in it when I got a chance to go on the road with my boy Fresh Kid Ice of the 2 Live Crew. I joined the group and we did some shows, and they picked me to go and be his hype man. So I knew that it would be an opportunity in music at that point.
Is it a different kind of experience going out on the road and being a hype man and going out on the road playing your own songs?
I think when you humble, you always want to go out there and, show as much support if you was the guy, who has the attention, or the guy, who's being the hype man. So it's just all about, putting a smile on the fan's face and just showing that you really enjoy what you're doing.
Did that ever really, being a hype man, did that kind of teach you to be a better performer?
Oh yeah, most definitely, because your job is to do one thing, and that's to get the crowd going.
Yeah. I imagine with a childhood like yours, the first time you got a big check must have been incredibly exciting. Do you remember what you spent your first big check on?
Oh, my family. I actually got my first car for the first time. I always was the type to say that any money that was spent outside of going to the studio was the waste of money. So I never had a car till I got a record deal.
Wow. Do you still spend all your money in the studio? I suppose the budget's certainly gone up.
I have my own studio now, so
so that's easy.
Own studio.
If you have your own studio, is it? I can imagine it would. That there would be less urgency to finish a record with your own studio. How do you maintain the discipline to actually get stuff done?
The discipline is knowing that there's a lot of competition out there. Whether it's friendly competition or just staying afloat in the music industry. There's always new artists coming out, and you have to really want it. And the fact that I love it is just something natural. If I'm in the studio, I come up with an idea, I put it down.
You got the record Only One Rider Part 2 coming out in a month or so. What was it about this record that you felt paired up with the first one, that you felt made it need to be a sequel?
I mean, definitely. I mean, when you do something the first time, you want to put a lot of effort, but when you do something the second time, you want to put even more effort. So, I mean, with this album, Only One Rider, I definitely made sure that, the intensity of, high energy was on there, as well as, great lyricism and everything.
Let's talk about the song Good Feeling. Now, in that you sample Avicii, who samples Etta James. I mean, it sounds to me like Etta James is the obvious one that jumped out when I heard that, even though it wasn't you directly sampling her. Was that a song that you kind of grew up listening to, that you
early on, I've been a fan of Etta James, but even more recently, when I saw the movie Cadillac Records where Beyonce played Etta James, and the first time I heard the record, Good Feeling, I was just like, wow, this would be crazy. I'm a big fan of her, and when you hear her voice, is just so amazing. It gives you goosebumps. It gives you that classicness, that classic sound. So, I mean, with the combination of Avicii, myself, and her, that trio, is definitely something I expected to be, a big record.
Yeah, right. And are you always, whenever you hear a song, are you always listening for a hook and thinking, I could put some verses around that? I could use that as a sample?
Nah, not all the time. For the most part, I'm just always just trying to be a fan of music, to think, how can I, be innovative and, always reinvent myself and just take, be inspired by, the music that's out.
And there was another song. There was a song with, I mean, there's a whole bunch of collaborations with you on the record, but there was one with Chris Brown that was cut out of the record. What happened there? Why did that not make it on?
I see you do your homework. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and for the most part, it's just about records, leaking and, being able to capitalize on records. And, for the most part, I thought it was a hot record, but, it didn't make the cut. A lot of my fans, they expected that record to come out back then, but you never know. Me and Chris might do something in the near future.
Yeah, right. So it's you might go back to a song that has previously been cut? Or are you talking about doing something in the future?
We'll change it up if we go back to a song. We don't want to. Right. We want to feel, some new inspiration.
Yeah. And you worked with Australian artist Sia on this record, which is probably one of the less obvious collaborations for you. How did you come across her music?
I mean, for the most part, I would think. I mean, me myself personally, on the most humble side as possible, I think all of artists that I work with is the less obvious. It's the fact that, what sets me aside from a lot of artists is that I go against the grain. I work with, a R&B singer, just being a rapper, but something like out of the norm. And, working with Sia, it was just amazing to just walk in the studio. And I was out in LA recording, and the first time I heard her voice, I was just like, wow, this is something new, something different. And I think, the fans will enjoy.
Do you actually record with both of you in the studio at the same time, or is it done via the magic of technology?
No, me and Sia actually recorded at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. Is it I mean, for you collaborate a lot with a lot of different artists. For her, it seems like a less obvious thing. Is it? I mean, how do you strike up a rapport when you go into the studio? You obviously have to do that kind of straight away, otherwise you it's not going to work if it's not going to work, right?
I mean, for the most part, you have your A&Rs and different people who, it's all teamwork. And I mean, for the most part, I've been fortunate that any artist that I've worked with, I'm not just a rapper without melody. I have melody, so I can kind of match up to a lot of the R&B singers and things like that with my voice as well.
Well, Flo Rida, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you.
Only One Rider Part 2 out soon.
Yeah.